this is coming in from Little J. So what's the worst thing about winter in Alaska? I know this is kind of the elephant in the room that everyone always wants to talk about when we talk about Alaska. So for you guys, what's been kind of the biggest struggle so far? Or has it been a struggle? I don't know. Minnesota, it's not exactly Bahamas either. So
no, like the temperature has been fine. In fact, we try to watch, where the temperature is between some of the places we've lived historically and now, and it's not much different. It's colder in Minnesota, it's warmer here, and then it flip-flops within a couple degrees, so it's pretty consistent. We live in a temperate area because we are where we are here in the Butte, and you have the mountain range on one side and the other mountain range, and there's a glacier. The wind comes off the ocean. It comes across the glacier. It's got a name, Chinook winds. They're actually a little bit warmer winds, so we feel pretty comfortable from a temperature standpoint. A little bit more snow than we've experienced in the past. I think the worst for me, it's not the darkness, because it's not really dark. It's really the amount of accidents and things that happen out on the highway. Because when you only have one way from Anchorage back, and it's shut down because somebody was driving with bald tires, or they were overzealous with their driving, and they ruin it for everyone. That's a tough night.
Yeah, I would say for me, and I don't like to drive, period. It can be beautiful, sunny, and dry, and I don't like to drive. I really don't like driving in winter in Alaska. It scares the crap out of me with the road situation.
Yeah, I mean, you get some people that really seem to know what they're doing on the roads, and they kind of take their time. And then you have other people that are, I mean, I'd say sometimes actually having studded tires and having all the fancy braking systems, it can actually create more of a liability, because you get into this habit of thinking everyone else around you has those same things. So you might be able to stop on a dime and be just fine. Everyone around you might not be able to do the same thing. So
yeah, there's a lot of people that are overly confident, which makes, to your point, right? Like, you can be not confident enough that causes issues. You're slowing down traffic, you're a hazard. And then you also have people here that are just going 75 in a blizzard, and that's not safe either. So you get both spectrums here.
No studded tires for us. We have 3 peak good winter tires, but nothing studded, and we haven't had any trouble.
Yep. Outstanding. So got another question here from S. Shepard. How are the electric bills comparable to the lower 48?
So I pay the electric bill in Minnesota and here, and they are the same. So we're in a 1,900 square foot house, I think, something like that. And it fluctuates, of course, between summer and winter. But it's like right now, I think it's $150 a month roughly. So it's not terrible for us.
Yep. Outstanding. And I'm going to let you guys answer this question here. So any issues with property crime for you or your neighbors?
Not a blip.
You start looking at crime maps, and you can go crazy looking at Alaska crime maps because of percentages and population density in certain areas. Like it may look way worse than it ever is in real life. I feel like we live in a really safe, secure area. I actually feel unsafe going back to where I used to live compared to, we call it the safety and security of the mountain. We just really love where we're at. We feel safe here. I have not been really in any situations in the state of Alaska that I have felt truly unsafe.
Yeah, he's had to travel for work recently. And like Jamin said, we've been here less than a year, and I had no qualms being by myself at all, versus when he traveled for work in Minnesota was a little bit of a different story. I think the worst crime we've seen anywhere on this side of the river has been people getting into mailboxes, and that's been about the extent of it.
Kids throwing rocks at signs and stuff like that.
Kids will be kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's really what it is. I mean, I've talked with people who've worked in law enforcement, and I mean, they've also said, the thing is, you can look at, if you just look at the stats solely based off of the proportions, Alaska is always going to stack really high just because it's such a small population. Like, we're going to be doing a real honest to true statistical analysis. Alaska would probably be thrown out, or there would actually be some kind of adjustment for it, just because it is on such a extreme end of the population spectrum.
Mhm.
The population is only 738,000 people approximately in the entire state. You can see how one person acting a fool can really throw the whole thing off. Meanwhile, if I go to the lower 48, well, let's say this: if the entire population of Alaska like went on vacation at the exact same time, like we just put like, close, be back later. Everywhere in Alaska, we go somewhere else, and there are some cities where if we all just showed up, the state of Alaska showed up, every last one of us, man, woman, child, baby, the chances are we'd all probably have some crime committed against us within like the first couple of days. So
Yes. Welcome to human race. Yeah.
that is it. All